Good afternoon. It's one of Bill's favorite pieces of music, Green Sleeves. We're here today to celebrate the life of William Robert Weber. We know as Bill or Uncle Bill. Bill was born July 23rd, 1941, died last Tuesday, February 3rd, 2015. I'm Bob Joran. I'm honored to have been asked to help memorialize Bill today. Although I didn't know Bill in life, I feel a certain kinship with him. Because of special bonds that I have known with many of you for most of my life, close relationships have grown into a genuine family. Carol's friendship with my sister Laura led to a lasting bond that included my departed mother Pat, who some of you know as a mother and grandfather. I've been blessed to be included in many of your lives to celebrate a lot of happy occasions. I've been grateful to be asked to be a godparent to Michelle and to help celebrate the marriage of Christine and Jared. Well, today is not the happiest of occasions, but the grieving that is felt at Bill's passing is made easier to bear if we remember what's at the heart of our feelings today. Knowing sadness for the loss of a family member or a friend is possible only in the recognition of the joy that comes from having had that special person in your life. Be comforted in the knowledge that what you have known about Bill and what you've experienced by having him in your life can never be lost. This is true for all of us, just as it is for him. We're reminded of this in the words of Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, and my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. So what do I know of Bill? Only what I've learned from some of you in recent days. But much of what I hear and much of what I now know about Bill makes me feel that he and I had a lot in common. Bill was a lover of music, and he was a drummer. Me too! And what joy music and the making of music can bring into our lives. Bill was a paper boy for the Milwaukee Journal. Me too! What a sense of pride that brings, to do something of value for others and to be rewarded for what you've done. It's a rite of passage for many of us. And another thing that Bill and I had in common was a love of trains. I used to take that paperboy money and go and buy myself trains. So it's heartwarming for me to see a picture of Bill over here enjoying his train and playing with it. It's also interesting that Bill made it to the 10th grade. Me too! At which point I got a little distracted, and so did Bill.
Yeah.
So what I would love right now, if there are people here present who have a thought about Bill or a memory that they'd like to share, if you'd like to come up, maybe Tom, if you've got something you'd like to say.
Sure.
Let's have a few people come up and just share some thoughts and memories.
So, hi everybody. I'm the nephew, Tom. So yeah, our experience with Bill was when he was at County primarily as we were growing up, and we would take him on visitations periodically, once a month, every 2 months or so. And so I remember, just those times that it was like you had trademark visitations with Bill, and you think as a kid growing up in an environment and going to like an institution to see a loved one, that's like a normal thing. However, it seems to anybody else. So that was kind of our normal. We knew Bill to be our mom's beloved brother, and the interaction that we had with him, it was special. We knew it was restrained, just because of the limitations that he had in life. And I guess I would characterize Bill's life as, he was dealt a rough blow in life. Knowing firsthand the fact that my mom had loss of her parents, and to know that kind of shapes, your outcome as a child, and it has follow-through outcomes as well. That was a big impact, of course, in our lives, but surely it had that impact in Bill's life too. And I'm sure that might have been a pressing thought in his mind throughout his entire life. A lot of times we would, when we would speak with Bill, a continual theme would be his parents. Bill wasn't the most, he wasn't the most talkative person, obviously, because of some of the constraints that he had, but you could tell he was centered from like a loving perspective. And I think that's kind of a tie-in to some of the love that he surely experienced throughout his life. And we could see that firsthand in how our mom was devoted to him, as a sister would be in a situation like that. Over time, as I grew and I, came to different sensibilities within my own self, as we would see Bill in the times that we would see him, and we would see that he might be sick or something, here of late especially, I did pray with him. I have a firm belief in God, and I know just it's a wisdom beyond understanding. The sovereignty of the God that we serve. And I always had the thought in my mind, what is the interplay with that as it relates to people in Bill's condition, who might not have the full wherewithal that other people might have. And so those were some of the thoughts that I had even in the course of my prayers with him when he was in ICU. Not knowing the fullness of these things or how to express them or how to know what these things are, surely. But knowing, again, beyond that realm of understanding, that Bill's life was not for nothing. So you think that when you're going through life and you see other people experiencing whatever they're experiencing, to be confined in an institution for 50 some odd years of your life, and that loneliness and the pain that might accompany that. But to know here as we remember Bill, that he did mean something. And I am glad to see, there are many people that might make an impact in life, surely, but to have the crowd that we have here, it is precious, and it means something. So I thank you for coming.
Thank you, Tom.
You can go up there if you want.
Yeah,
Oh, it doesn't matter.
Michelle, anybody else have thoughts that they'd like to share?
Thanks. So my name is Michelle. I'm Carol's oldest child. I'm her daughter, first daughter. And Bill was my uncle as well. And as I was really thinking about all of the different experiences that we've had with him, several really important strengths about him personally came to mind that I wanted to share. So one of the things that I've noticed just in talking with people who knew him well is that people either have at least a smirk, if not a smile, when they talk about him. And I think that that's reminiscent of his purity and his joy and his calmness, really. He seemed to have an inner calm about him and really did a great job of enjoying life. He had no holds barred when it came to expressing his pleasure about any variety of things, whether that was M&Ms, as you'll see over there, or music, or food. He just was zealous in his enjoyment of those things, and it made everyone laugh and feel comfortable and take a different look, I think, at our daily lives and value some things that perhaps it would be easier to look past. One of the other things that comes to mind for me is the word resilient and his resilience of spirit. He did have, of course, a number of challenges in terms of the day-to-day living experience that he had, but I was heartened as we were talking about this a couple of days ago to remember that when we were taking time to see him away from his usual home, he would be eager to get back there, and he would check his watch, and he was, making sure that we would get back in time. And so he felt a kinship with the folks that he lived with and really seemed to enjoy that, and that was very comforting for us as well. Part of me inwardly was surprised that he did live for over 50 years at Milwaukee County and in the type of environment that he did, because I haven't ever really seen or heard of that happening before. I think partially because it takes a really resilient spirit to really be able to muster all of the different challenges that come your way in that type of an environment. And he just seemed to continue to have that inner calm and that love of life in spite of that. And so the words resilient and strong continue to always come to mind when I think of him. Thanks for being here today.
Anyone else?
I'm Carol, I'm Bill's sister. And I'm reading something that my sisters sent to me that they wanted read for right now. This is my oldest sister Georgia's memories of Bill. Cars, she put. Mom and Dad would take us on frequent rides in the car, and Bill would watch for every passing car and tell us the make and model. It seemed to me he knew them all. Trains. Bill had a wonderful Lionel train set, which was set up in a small room in our basement. When we said, let's play trains, we all went down. Bill was the engineer, and we all helped with track layout, people and cars, signals, lights, and whistleblowing. Music. We listened to the records together. We sang together with Mom while we did the dishes. Bill loved music in all its forms. And then my sister Nan wrote right after that, and reminded me that Bill always brought home pet turtles and fish from Woolworths. He was into the balsa airplanes, the wooden toy airplanes. And what I remember about him that was a lot of fun was we'd have him in the front seat. I remember being in the back seat with Shelley and Tom. And he would always turn around and smile and say, "Hi, Michelle Marie. Hi, Thomas Michael," and give us big smiles. And he was just so easy to be around and so loving. And one of the very special memories I had was after he had surgery, and Tom and I were in the hospital with him. And he told us, he was very down, so I was glad Tom was with me. And he said he thought he was going to hell. He thought he was going to die that day, and it was quite a while back. And so Tom kind of, rubbed his head, and he kept on saying, "You're not guilty, you're not guilty." And Bill started to cry, and Tom convinced him that he was going to Jesus. And I wanted to mention that because it meant a lot to me, means a lot to me now, and I think through Tom's help, we were able to convince him that he was going to heaven instead of hell. And with that, I should leave it to the minister.
Thank you for sharing those thoughts. It is, it's enlightening because, as Tom stated, it's easy to have a mindset when you think of a person that's institutionalized and think that it's going to be a life of futility and depression and loneliness and, generally, you might not think of the optimism, but you can't escape the truth that Bill is a real man.
Yeah.
He lived a full life, and he had joy, he knew affection, he knew the love of family members that stood by him, and he returned